Okay, we're going to start out with lacquer thinner and clean cloth, and the idea is we're going to get all the dirt and the finish and everything that is wrong with the floor off the floor before we bleach it again. So we have a pattern here that we've cut in half with, well, we've taped it in half. We're gonna do half of it, and we're doing the lacquer thinner right now, rubbing it on. Yours is probably going to be a lot dirtier than ours, obviously, but we're going to rub it on really well. And we're only going to do half this pattern. This pattern does not have any finish on it. It has just the color on it. So we're going to put that lacquer thinner on, and don't be afraid to put it on. It'll be as wet as you want to get it is fine, because you're going to let it dry. See some of the colors coming off now. You can see the bottom of the rag. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do after we wipe it down good with the rag is we're going to take a maroon pad and be aggressive with it again, so that we get everything that's in it out of it. So get everything that's in the pores of the wood, get it out, wash it out. Make sure when you're using the rag, make sure you change it quite often, because we don't want to be pushing dirt from one area to another. But we want to get it down as close to the bare wood as we can get it with the lacquer thinner and the maroon pad, things of that nature. Don't be afraid to put some elbow grease in it. All right, you see what's happening on the bottom of the pad. All right, so you're going to make sure that you get it all out as far down as you can get it, as clean as you can get it. Then we're going to let it dry very well. Okay, we're going to use wood bleach, number 1 and number 2, as you can see by the labels there. Wood bleach number 1, wood bleach number 2. We're going to mix them together 50-50. It's made by that company right there, Morgan Gallagher Incorporated, which will send you. Okay, so we're going to put it in a cup. As we've done right there, we've mixed it 50-50. And now we're just going to put it on. Now that the lacquer is dry, and if you feel the surface, you'll feel that the grain is raised and things of that nature, but that's okay. We're going to add more liquid to it and raise the grain even more. So now we'll put the bleach on and just let it set. You'll want to wear a mask for any big type of work, because it will smell like bleach. We're not wearing a mask here because we're not using that big of an area. So okay, that's it. You see, you got more stuff came off. So, and now wipe it back. So basically, you're going to put it on. One guy will be putting it on, one guy will wipe it back. Right. Okay, dispose of the rags correctly. Let them dry flat. Do not bunch them together. So put them out in the sun and let them dry flat, and then toss them away. Okay, so now the purpose is to get the wood as clean and as white as we can get it before we add the color. And you have the color. Now we're going to add that. Go ahead. put it on nice and thick. Not overly thick, but you get the idea, like you do regular stain. You're going to put it on fairly heavy, and then wring out the rag. It's been sitting there for a few seconds, and now wipe it back. There you go. Now we'll let it dry. And we're going to want to let it dry at least 8 hours. Okay, now we're going to put the oil on. That the color is dry. I'm going to put the first coat of oil on, and we're going to put it on pretty good. Get it everywhere. Put it on pretty thick. Just brush it out. Okay, now we're going with the grain, brushing it out so that we're not leaving any rag marks. And we're going to let this sit until it dries. It's going to sit for at least 4 hours before you put the rest of it on, the next coat. Okay, good. Okay, the first coat is dry, and you can see how the surface needs more coating. So you can see it's sucked into the wood, and so we have to put multiple coats on. We're going to put, this is the second coat, and we're going to put that on as we did the first, which is we're going to put it on pretty heavy and get it everywhere. Get it into the seams, get it everywhere. And don't worry about putting it on too heavy, because you're going to wipe it back anyways as you go further in. So now we're going to wipe it back and brush it in the direction of the grain. Get it nice and even by doing it by going back and forth across it. And then as a final, you're going to brush each board in the direction of the grain. Lightly brushing it. Okay, so you see we have 2 coats of oil on here now. The color and 2 coats of oil. You can see that the wood's not that thirsty anymore, but we're going to put another coat on. But before we put the coats on, after the second coat, between the second and the third coat, we want you to do the maroon pad so that we take all the take the grain down, take the roughness out. And of course, you can do this with a buffer in a larger area. Be careful, we're not putting a lot of elbow grease in it. We're just taking the high spots or taking whatever dirt that may have gotten into the finish out, flattening it out, things of that nature. And after this sequence here, after we finish with the maroon pad, we'll clean it really well with the vacuum cleaner, and then we'll wipe it back with paint thinner or mineral spirits, not lacquer thinner. Not lacquer thinner. At this point we change from lacquer thinner to paint thinner or mineral spirits. So, okay, here we go. Vacuum with that little attachment was a soft attachment. You want to make a soft attachment. Whenever you're working with wood, of course, you want bristle, horsehair, or some type of bristle that's soft against the wood so you're not scratching the wood. And now we're going to use mineral spirits. Don't worry about soaking up the wood. Put it on so that you can wipe back nicely, get all the dust and everything off of it. Go ahead. Radio. And now you want to use a dry rag and wipe it back. Right. Okay, let it dry really well. Okay, this is the last oil that we're going to do. This will be the third coat. We've got our rag all soaked and we're ready to go. Put it on just as we put it on before. So lay it in. Lay it in nice and heavy because you're going to wipe it back. The rag is soaked really well, or you can pour the finish directly on it as we did before, if you wanted to, but we don't need to at this point. Now we're going to wring the rag out, just make it damp, and we're going to wipe it back and follow the grain like we did before, and then let it dry. Going to wring it out one more time, and then he's going to follow the grain. Okay, so like fine brush strokes, you're just going to follow the grain, make sure there's no rag marks anywhere. There you go. Okay, now we're going to let this dry. You want to let this dry like 72 hours or so. You'll have to be the judge of that, because after this you want to do the 2 coats of urethane. And I say 2 coats because this is the kitchen, so we want to protect it a little bit more. So this is all sealed. After this dries, it's all sealed. You'll want to do the coats of urethane the way that you're used to doing them, the manufacturers or recommendations, or however you are used to doing that. Okay, so 2 coats of urethane after this, and we should be good. All right, bye.